Hello everyone, my name is Hannah Graw and I want to welcome you to my advocacy project proposal. First off, I will start by introducing myself and what I believe makes me an advocate and what stands in my way. As I stated before, my name is Hannah. I am currently in my last semester before graduating with my bachelor's degree in elementary education at 20 years old, which is a great privilege. I have been lucky enough to grow up in an environment that prepared me to go to college financially, and was in the right timeline to complete my associate's degree while I was in high school. My sister landed me an interview at the Starbucks she worked at, which allowed me to get severely discounted schooling at ASU online. I am lucky enough to have the skills to choose nearly any degree I'd like, but this also created some difficulties in choosing what I wanted to be. Just before my senior year of high school, I taught horseback riding lessons, which made me think I wanted to be a teacher. But now I have decided I want to work exclusively with horses and lesson programs. My entire life I have been incredibly privileged, which I see as a huge block in my attempt at being an advocate. I have never experienced hardships due to financial status, and growing up I was Christian in a very white, safe community. Up until 8th grade, I would say that I understood ethics, but would not have had the ability to be an advocate. I was anxious, unsure, ignorant of the world, and had difficulties talking to people and in front of people. Over the 4 years of high school, I began working at Starbucks and working with horses, and these experiences contributed greatly to my knowledge today. I learned how to be direct and confident in horseback riding, and how to find ways to communicate even when it was difficult. At Starbucks, I worked in what anyone I've talked to calls the ghetto, although it is nowhere close to how bad it can get further down the road. I had to learn to be sure of myself here, too, and had to learn to communicate properly with others and with confidence to ensure I did not leave them with any anxiety about my knowledge. I became a leader in both environments and, even though I am younger than many, am looked up to. I learned about the struggles of my diverse set of coworkers and my diverse set of customers, but I have still never experienced anything firsthand, and I may never have to. I'm comfortable advocating for myself because I know everything about my own life, but I find it difficult to advocate for others in fear of doing more harm than good. Even for this project, I have decided to take an easier route, something I can relate to more, because I am not sure of how many lives I could hurt by taking on too tall of a task that I do not fully understand. Even with all the research in the world, I will still be seen as a privileged advocate who has not seen negativity that I may be fighting for firsthand. My options to choose from for advocacy were healthcare and domestic violence. While thinking about both areas, I thought about not only what I thought I could connect with more, but what I could actually work with in a 7.5-week class. With domestic violence, I have no connections whatsoever, but my parents did get divorced when I was young due to my father's excessive drinking. Through my research, I learned that the users on a particular site experienced domestic abuse on average for 6 years and 1 month. It has always been wild to me that women would put up with these kinds of behaviors for so long, but I was in an emotionally abusive relationship in 8th grade and stayed in that relationship for 2 years before realizing better. This is why domestic abuse did reach out to me, because I have had close brushes with it. When it came time to this project, however, I realized that there is already a domestic abuse center just down the road from me. They have done great work, and it would be better for me to advocate for something I know is a bigger issue of information in my community. This is why I turned to my second option, healthcare. I personally am totally in the dark about healthcare. As I said earlier, I count myself as incredibly privileged. My mother is a nurse at a large local hospital, and she has kept me on her healthcare as well as paid for a lot of my lower-end health expenses, which is all I've had up till now. I've never had to pay for a shot, a screening, a visit, or even for the dentist. And in a year, my husband will be in the Air Force, and I will have healthcare through him. So I still will not have to worry about obtaining my own healthcare for a long while. But I need to know how to understand it. I also know a lot of individuals who do not know much about their own health, what screenings they need to go in for, and what problems in their bodies need to be checked up ASAP. I also know a lot of individuals who do not have the money to go get tests that they need. According to a list of authors from KFF, 1 out of 3 adults in the United States have said that they have postponed or skipped a test due to the cost, and 3 in 4 adults under 65 have gone without needed care due to the cost. According to the American Board of Medical Specialties, about 20 years ago there was a paper published that supported the idea that certain vaccines cause autism. Despite this being quickly proven to be false, many Americans still refuse to get certain vaccines, or any vaccines, due to misinformation that was quickly spread. In my own experience, I have met individuals who do not realize certain things are wrong with their body, and therefore do not even think about going to the doctor. I personally do not even know what tests I am meant to go to the doctor to get, and I learned recently that I missed the blood test I was meant to get at 18 or 19. Lack of information and misinformation affects a lot of the population, both in and out of the United States. After going through my research, I have decided to work towards advocating for healthcare. While domestic violence called out to me, I understand that Refined Hope, a nearby domestic violence center, has the situation covered in my area. On the other hand, I have heard a lot of issues with information, misinformation, and finances in relation to healthcare, and would also like to take this opportunity to learn more about an area that I do not know much about. I mentioned that while doing research, I also continuously thought about who I would work with and to advocate for these ideas, and I also mentioned that I kept the timeline in mind. Using this information, I decided that I could work with Starbucks since I work there. Starbucks provides healthcare benefits for anyone who works 20 hours or more a week, but a lot of partners do not fully understand the benefits, financing, or even how to sign up. And it's not something that is usually brought up until you talk more with other partners. I would like to advocate for partners to understand their benefits, learn how to finance important visits, and to learn more about what tests they should be getting and when. I decided to work with Starbucks because it is something I believe I can actually make a change, especially in the given time frame, and I am able to come up with a realistic plan to inform others. In terms of education, this process will educate partners as to both what they need to do to keep up with their own health and also inform them about the benefits available to them. My current plan has very loose dates. However, I first plan to meet with Lauren Lastly, who is our district manager. With her, I hope to understand more about healthcare benefits that Starbucks offers, and to get approval on this project. After this, I will do more research and also work to create a brochure that can be passed to each Starbucks near me, and possibly even more on the regional level. Once this is done, I'd like to meet up with Lauren to look over the brochure and then print out the copies for other stores and distribute them. It would be nice to also promote this information during store meetings, but the next meeting may not be in the time frame of this class, so I will not be including any related information for the purposes of the class. Thank you for the time, and the following are the sources of information from my previously done research.